among really the only great successes of the Articles of Confederation government were the land policies that were created. There are three major land policies. The big controversy at the beginning of the Confederation era, after we received all of the territory from the Appalachian Mountains over to the Mississippi River, was what to do with that land. Many of the colonies had, now states, had competing land claims on the land in the West. Essentially, what happens is that the Confederation government was able to make all of that land public domain, basically trading that land from the states and then using the sale of that land to pay off the national debts. The three major land policy decisions are known as the Land Ordinance of 1784, Land Ordinance of 1785, and the Northwest Ordinance. Jefferson drafted the 1784 Land Ordinance and was one of the ways that the land claims were dropped by the competing territories. Interestingly about this land ordinance, it would have divided the territories up into 14 self-governing territories, but all adult white males would have been eligible to vote. They all would have been able to hold office, and the territories could write their own constitutions. It's eventually superseded by the land ordinance in 1785. This is really an interesting ordinance because it carves up the country, literally shaping the country in the future by dividing the land into essentially what we'd call acres, these square patterns that could be purchased later on. And then the proceeds from those sales would go to pay the national debt. The sale money would go into the national treasury. Remember, that's important because the states were voluntarily giving money. They weren't being forced to pay taxes. More interesting for the future is the Northwest Ordinance, sort of that Ohio Valley territory. Those territories would eventually become states, and they would be co-equal states. They were not expected to be colonies or territories or protectors. They were going to be equal to the original 13 states. Also important is that slavery was banned in those territories, and we can start to see the North versus South dichotomy starting to develop.